Maturity, knowledge, resiliency, esoteric, hard to make tangible, but what you want from Ace Bailey in year one. It's next on Locked on Jazz.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
How are you? I am David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz. It's your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you so much for making Locked on Jazz your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all podcasting apps. And to the everydayers, you're the best. We're back to 5 days a week here shortly, so fire up. We're weeks away from Media Day. I have a Jazz basketball retreat next week on Tuesday. I've got meetings the week after. It's all happening. We're fired up for the season. Today, we're going to look at Ace Bailey and what's fair to expect from the high expectations we have on Ace Bailey for year one. We'll compare him to some of the other most recent kind of big-time prospects to come into the NBA, what they did in year one. We'll talk a little bit about the top 100 list that Locked On's going to release on Monday. And Jusuf Nurkic looking good. Lauri, a little bit of a tough day yesterday in EuroBasket. That's all coming up on today's edition of Locked on Jazz. Again, thanks to the everydayers out there. I super appreciate you. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is here, and now new customers can bet $5. If your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets. Download the FanDuel.com to get started. By the way, I'm sure you watched Eagles-Cowboys last night, but I hope you stayed up late and watched that women's tennis match last night, because that was epic. I find tennis, we'll get right to it, but I find tennis the closest thing to boxing that there is. Boxing's kind of inhumane and never been the same ever since Boo Boo Mancini killed somebody in the ring and we all had to see it live. But holy smokes, there is just nothing like that. Is the closest thing of two people just pounding at each other. And it was awesome last night. Those women last night were incredible. All right. We have massive expectations for Ace Bailey. I mean, if we're just going to be totally honest about it, there's no need to hide it. The franchise's future of winning again rests on Ace Bailey this year, whoever we draft next year, and whoever we draft the year after. As the roster sits right now, I don't see a player who I think is going to dramatically impact our ability to win games. Like, we don't have a player that takes us from 20 to 40 wins. Anthony Edwards in Minnesota clicked in and they went from 30 to 50 wins. Like, Donovan Mitchell clicked in for us, we went. Rudy Gobert, we went. I don't see Tyrese Halliburton, Indiana went, right? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Thunder went. I don't see a player on our roster right now that does that, except for Ace Bailey. I mean, there's no need to duck it. Now, and whoever we get next year and the year after. Those are the players who the future of this franchise rests on, unless we acquire somebody along the way. And we will probably add some pieces around it. But that's the truth. So the expectations on Ace Bailey are mammoth. They're just probably not mammoth right away. Because, honestly, there's never any rookie that comes in the league that's good. And there's not very often a rookie that comes in the league that's highly impactful to wins. People think Cooper Flagg's going to do it. It's a pretty soft landing. So certainly there's a possibility. But, you know, if you look at some of the greats, and we'll look at them in next segment, they didn't do that. At 19 years old, they came into the league. They showed you flashes. They showed you where they were going. They didn't leave a lot of doubt, like, oh my gosh, it's coming. Anthony Edwards left a little doubt, actually. But year one to me for Ace Bailey is going to be, as I said in the cold open, these kind of esoteric, weird points that are hard to evaluate. Now, I understand the society we live in, that there's going to be, you're going to need clicks and comments, and I'm going to probably do it too. And he's going to go 2 for 17 somewhere along the way. And that's fine. He's probably going to go 1 for 13. I'm going to be more bothered if he goes 0 for 2. I think he's going to get a lot of time and a lot of opportunity. He's going to have some brutal nights. And the first thing I would say is, as long as he's out there and impactful, both positively and negative, as long as you feel his presence, we're okay. He starts to have, honestly, just because this is the closest reference I can have, and I think he'll get through it, but Cody Williams minutes last year, where Cody would play 8 or 9 minutes and you didn't even know he was on the floor because physically he just was so outmanned. That's not great. That's what we would like to not have happen. So my expectations, or what we're going to watch on Ace Bailey this year, are some really interesting things that I think are going to be hard for us to pinpoint. But one is maturity. He's a carefree, loose, fun-loving, and I don't want him to lose that zest. I watched Donovan lose that zest. I'll never forget walking back from Charlotte's Arena. It's very close to the hotel, and so you walk back on the city streets, and I walked back with Donovan, and we talked about the love he was having, enjoyment he was having. This was his rookie year, and I said, how do you think you don't lose this zest? And I remember him looking, I'll never lose this. And then sure enough, 5 years later, we're walking back to and I remind him of the conversation, and he's like, yeah, it's pretty hard right now. So that's the first one, is how can Ace Bailey maintain this youthful exuberance, this fun-loving energy and zest to be there every day in the midst of an unnatural developmental process for a 19, 20-year-old kid? I have a 20-year-old daughter. I have a 23-year-old son. This is not how children are supposed to be raised in this environment, with millions of dollars, with 19,000 people watching, with millions commenting on their every action, with no idea who's a friend or not. This is not how a human's supposed to develop. And we've seen it with Walker in year 2, where he got really down. Like, the world was not a good place for Walker Kessler in year number 2. We saw Keontae last year. I was talking to Keontae last year, and I was complimenting him on his growth as a person. I literally, you might think this is weird. You can decide what you think of my interactions with him. That's fine. I was being authentic. And that was that I was looking at Keontae as my child, the same age as my kid. And I said, hey, I just wanted to let you know that if I have kids your age, and if my kids had kind of increased their eye contact, increased their communication skills, increased their things, I'd be super pleased as a dad. And I just think it's cool to watch you do that. And he literally looked at me and said, oh my gosh, that's so nice to hear. I'm trying. And I don't know if anyone notices, right? It's hard. So the first thing is in a counterbalance of gaining some maturity, because I think Ace Bailey strikes me as being closer to 14 than 24 in his interactions, which I think is beautiful. We all wish we were closer to 14 than 24, frankly, every day. And I think we all wish we interacted on the day closer to 14 to 54. But at the same time, and still loving it. So that's energy to me. That'll show with energy. That does he still play with a zest and an energy and show up every day on time? And, little things like, it sounds funny, but like, have your shoes tied and be ready to go, and not just be like, not literally be at a stage. I've seen it where you come to practice and the idea of tying your shoes is so overwhelming that you like, my gosh, I'm not quite ready to like get through the day. I know that sounds stupid. I've literally seen it. Or, it's like when you start to forget stuff, you're tired, you're exhausted, you start to forget. So it's a maturity. When I say maturity, it's arrival on time. It's being at practice. It's giving your all. It's being focused. It's understanding that you have 2.5 hours a day to work. It sounds simple. It's not. So that's the maturity. The love, I think, shows in his energy. And the third one is knowledge. And I'm going to go on Taylor. This is where I thought Taylor really lost last year. I thought Taylor's knowledge of the game, understanding of the intricacies of spacing and movement and how plays are structured and why things are happening, was behind the curve. I may be wrong on that, but that was and frankly, sometimes it's one single play, like isolation, Jordan Clarkson driving and Taylor cuts right into him, literally runs into Jordan while he's going ISO. Leads me to believe that maybe someone doesn't have a entirely clear view of how it works. I'm not expecting Ace Bailey having been a 35-point-a-game scorer at an AAU team where he got the ball every single time, and then being the number one option at Rutgers, to have a very good understanding of how you play as a teammate with 5 other world-class players. So those are the 3 things to me that are growth for Ace Bailey in year 1: maturity, maintaining energy, and adding knowledge. All of those combined, to me, come up with resiliency. Does the kid have resiliency? When he goes 2 of 17, what is he the next day? When somebody like Anthony Edwards decides he's going to put it on him for a night, and does, because that's what will happen, what does he do? When Will Hardy jumps because he didn't do something right, how does he react? That's the last piece, is resiliency. It's hard. I mean, it's a whole, how do you control your emotions? Is the world against you? Can you fight through it? Those are the things that I expect out of Ace Bailey in year 1. None of them are a number. I know. Can you believe it? Me, none of them a number. We'll do that next. The numbers, or the idea of those, next on Locked On Jazz. Today's edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you by my good friends over at Intercap Lending. That's Steve Carter. He's the best, the single greatest customer service person I have ever dealt with in my whole life. Brock Worthen is the CEO of Intercap and president, and he has built the culture over there to make sure that Intercap is unique in its way that it treats its customers. I love it. It literally fires me up and makes me happy to have Steve Carter as the person who is with us each and every day and there for you as our own personal loan officer. Here's how it works. Steve Carter's been with us now for over 7 years. He is our own personal loan officer. Intercap Lending is a mortgage company that's shaking things up by making home loans accessible, straightforward, and personal. So whether you're buying your first home, refinancing, or exploring options as a veteran, Intercap is there to guide you. Intercap does extra work for veterans. So there's the company. We then have our own dedicated loan officer that you get by being a Locked On everydayer, and his name is Steve Carter, and he is the single greatest customer service person ever. So there's something for everyone. FAA loans for first-timers, VA loans for veterans, USDA loans for those buying in rural areas. If you're outside the state of Utah, Intercap can still help you. So underwriting times with Intercap are still just 24 hours. Most banks are 4 to 7 days. They are 24 hours. They are servicing 60% of their own loans. If you are looking for a loan right now, email me at dlock09@gmail.com. I will connect you with Steve Carter. That's dlock09@gmail.com. I will connect you to Steve Carter, and you will get the VIP treatment that you deserve by being an everydayer, and you will get the unbelievable experience of Intercap Lending and Steve Carter. Today's show is also brought to you by Murdoch Hyundai. The Murdochs have been in Utah for 80, 90, 100 years. They've just been here. They're just a part of it. I go back to the very first meeting I ever had with them, where they shared with me their dedication to the community. This was 7-8 years ago. I didn't know them at all. They told me about Hyundai. I think I was mispronouncing the name. Since then, I've been with the Murdochs for 8 years because they follow through exactly on that. Blake's become what I would call a friend. I love talking to him. He's one of my favorite people to talk to. He's thoughtful. He's authentic. He's real. It's incredible. And then the cars have been great. I'm currently driving the Santa Fe Hybrid. I couldn't say more about it. And it's 0% APR up to 48 months right now for well-qualified buyers. I would seriously look at that car. We have an old Santa Fe. We have a middle-aged Santa Fe. We've got an Ioniq 5. My dad's got an Ioniq 6. I'm not BSing you on this stuff. We are in. And the Murdochs are the people we're doing it with. So, again, email me. Let's set you up as an everydayer with a VIP meeting at either Murdoch Hyundai, in Murray, in Linden, or in Logan. If you're in the market for a car this weekend, you're shopping around, email me at dlock09@gmail.com, and we'll give you the VIP treatment you deserve over at Murdoch Hyundai. The salesperson will line it all up for you. None of the vulture stuff. You'll be awesome. You'll love it. That's all at Murdoch Hyundai. What should we expect numbers-wise from Ace Bailey? By the way, one program, if you're an NFL fan, we will be launching the ultimate NFL pregame show again this year to start the year. We'll see how it does. It's like 2 hours long. It's like a binge listen, and it's it's crossover edition from every one of our NFL hosts, one segment recapping, and it's the best preview for the entire NFL weekend. The NFL previews are also out, so all sorts of great stuff from Locked On. Super, super impressed with the staff and everything that they're doing right now. Okay, let's look at numbers-wise what we think is fair for someone like Ace Bailey to do in his opening year. Okay, let's take Paolo Banchero. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's 6'10", he's 250. His rookie year, he shoots 40% the field and 30% from three, and he wins Rookie of the Year. Okay? Like, I still have some real concerns on this guy. He's averaging 26 points a game, shoots 32% from three, but I'll be really curious where he ends up on the top 100 list because I would have had him lower when it comes out on Monday. But that's all right. So our first one was Paolo Banchero. And if we look at the two numbers, it's 43 and 30 with an effective field goal percentage of only 46.5. That's pretty dreadful. Okay, that's a reason. Let's go Cade Cunningham. A little different. 6'6", 220, has the ball in his hands the whole time. 40, but that's number one pick of a draft. 41% from the field, 31% from three, and a dreadful effective field goal percentage of 47%. Remember, the effective field goal percentage league average, I think, is about 52 at this point. Let's go to Anthony Edwards, another number one pick of the draft. 6'4", 225, a little different. Anthony Edwards, first year in the league, 42% from the field, 33% from three. He at least had his effective field goal percentage up to 49%, and he explodes in year two, and he's on his way to an all-star by year three. He's awesome. Let's go back to Andrew Wiggins. And I think we all hope that Ace Bailey has a better career than Andrew Wiggins, but he was another number one pick, and he was 44% in his first year and 31% for three from Minnesota, averaging 17 points a game and winning Rookie of the Year with an effective field goal percentage of 45%. These are terrible numbers. Let's go to the greatest scorer the game may have ever seen in Kevin Durant, who body-wise is probably more similar to Ace Bailey than anyone we're talking about. Kevin Durant, at 19 years old, played 35 minutes a night. He shot 43% from the field, 29% from three, and had an effective field goal percentage of the worst of any of the players we have mentioned yet at 45%. Just terrible. Let's go to Tracy McGrady, who is actually, I think, a surprisingly good comp, maybe more offensively skilled, 7-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champ, Hall of Famer. He actually had an interesting rookie year because he only played 18 minutes a game in 64 games and was actually relatively efficient at 45% and 34% just playing bench minutes. It was only the next year when he suddenly got a bunch more time in the next 2 years as a 19 and 20-year-old that he became incredibly inefficient. So his track's a little different. These are probably the best comps I can give you. You couple the history of what players have done in the past, which was just ran through all guys that are like going to be borderline Hall of Famers. And Andrew Wiggins is probably the one who will not. Every other one of those guys is going to the Hall of Fame. Every single guy I just mentioned is going to the Hall of Fame. And they all were statistically bad in their rookie year. So guess what? Ace Bailey's going to be statistically bad this year. Maybe awful. Like really, maybe 41%, 30% from three, 17 shots a game, being characterized as a chucker and a gunner and inefficient, and everyone's going to criticize him, and no one's going to look at it from a historical perspective that everyone always, forever and time past has been this way. No one will, I promise. Instead, because Ace Bailey's clickbait and we're going to get to live in it, we're going to hear all the other stuff. So when we look at year one of Ace Bailey, statistically, we're all going to have to be wildly patient. Wildly patient. We're going to have to decide not to judge 2 for 17. And by the way, part of it is going to be, there are going to be enough 3 for 17s, 5 for 18 nights that it will absolutely torpedo his statistical numbers. But I want to know, like, I would like to see some reboundings. You know what else I'd like to see? Turnovers. What? Turnovers? Yeah, turnovers. Means he's trying. Again, to me, statistically, the numbers that should terrify us are low numbers. In field goal attempts, in three-point attempts, in rebounds, frankly in assists, but I think he'll be low in that, and in turnovers, and in blocks and steals. Low numbers are just going to be bad. But if he shoots a bunch of times and he misses all of them, I'm fine. If he shoots a bunch of times and he misses a bunch of threes, I'm fine. If he grabs a bunch of rebounds, okay, we're talking. That's energy. That's effort. That's what. So it's going to be a weird year for us in evaluating Ace Bailey. One of the things that I do think we want to look at is stretches. Okay. So I'm guessing, if we just take this by 10 game stretches of a season, in the opening 10 games, he's going to give us tantalizing moments, singular tantalizing moments. In games 30 to 40, can he give us tantalizing minutes? Let's go 10 to 20. I jumped. I just think he might be stunned to start. So he starts by giving us moments. Then can he give us minutes? Where he suddenly puts a stamp on the game and you watch for 2 or 3 minutes like, oh, he's the best player on the floor. Will we get to a point where he gives us stretches? 5, 6, like a stretch. He comes into the game for a 7-minute stretch in the second quarter, and you're like, oh my gosh, he had 12 points, 4 rebounds, hit 2 threes, blocked a shot, stole a ball, and was awesome. Because those moments will give him the, oh, I can be great. And then there's the question, does he dominate a quarter? Does he dominate a half? And does he ever have a night, late, probably April, against crappy players where he dominates a game? Late in the season, in March and April, when everyone starts playing their weird groups, can he dominate? Dominate. That's the stretch. That's what you're looking for. Not shooting percentage, right? These guys' effective shooting percentages of Hall of Famers is 46, 47, 45, 45. Anthony Edwards was the best at 49. It's going to be well below league average in efficiency. Probably going to score some points and be ugly. Probably going to shoot. I would be surprised on this roster if he can shoot over 40% from the field. I would be surprised if he shoots over 33% from 3. If you want my number, guess I'm going to go 39-32 for Ace Bailey this year. We did a lot of shot attempts and a lot of ugly shot attempts. And the fewer and fewer of those, hopefully, as the year goes on. Who will the Jazz have in the top 100? And a EuroBasket, Jusuf Nurkic is looking good. Will he play for the Utah Jazz this year? Next on Locked on Jazz. Today's edition is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Football season is here, and it's time for you to jump into the action with this amazing offer. Right now, new customers can bet $5. If your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. That's right. NFL season is here. College football is here, and FanDuel is making sure the kickoff for you is a blast and a can't-miss offer. New customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app today. Now visiting FanDuel.com and get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Great games going on this week. I was actually talking to Mark from BYU standpoint. I was talking to Mark Jones last night, ESPN announcer, who's in town for the Stanford BYU game. I'd love to say I'm fired up and amped as a Stanford fan to start talking trash, but I'm not. Actually, I've kind of lost interest in this whole thing. So we'll see how it plays out. Jump on that. Tennis. Alcaraz is a favorite. That one starts at 10 a.m. today. Alcaraz is a favorite, minus 375 against Jokic. Sinner is a minus 4,000. Tennis might be the place. National championship odds. Ohio State is still number 1, and Texas is 4. Despite Arch Manning's struggle to start it off, Texas is a 36.5 point favorite against good old San Jose State. NFL gets back underway. Kansas City and the Chargers, Chiefs are a 3-point favorite in that one. Go get it all at FanDuel.com. Will anyone other than Lauri Markkanen make the top 100 players as Locked On gives out their top 100, does the top 100 players on Monday? So we will be releasing our NBA top 100 on Monday. Does Walker Kessler make it? It's an interesting question because when what I will be looking at and we'll be talking about on Monday is we'll rank the centers. And Walker led the league in offensive rebound and was leader in the league in block shots as well. Was pretty good around the rim. I think he could come out literally as the 20th best center in the NBA. The centers in the NBA are awesome. 20th best center in the NBA still might make you top 100. Our lack of wins, I think, will probably drop him off the list. We'll see. Lauri will be top 100, but he has really slipped in people's minds. He's slipped from basically top 30 to top 50 and maybe even below top 50. So it's going to be really interesting when our top 100 comes out on Monday of where our guys are situated. Obviously, we don't have anybody else. I think Ace Bailey, our hope would be, could get close to it at some point once people look at the process. But we don't have anybody else in the top 100. That's why I opened the show saying I don't think we have anybody else who's going to move the win meter. But do you think Walker Kessler makes the top 100 players in the NBA on our Monday list? Give me your thoughts in the YouTube chat. All right, Jusuf Nurkic looks really good. Yesterday he had 15 points and 12 rebounds, but physically looks different. He's slim. Last year he was super heavy. At least it looked it to me. Maybe the numbers won't be different, but it looked like it. So he looks, to me, looks heavy, right? 15 points, 12 rebounds last night. Bosnia-Herzegovina gets another win. They will open against Poland in the round of 16 and probably should advance. I think he plays this year for us. I just don't think Kyle Filipowski's a center. I might be wrong. I think we'll probably try it because Will's super creative as a coach, and we'll try some things with an offense that's 5 out, which is Will's preference, I think, with Kyle Filipowski in the second unit. And I think that can be fun, and you can play Lauri, Kyle, and Ace, or Lauri, Kyle, and Taylor, or Taylor, Kyle, and someone, and you're not small. You just don't have a center. And if you can switch 1 through 5 and do a bunch of things, maybe you can be okay defensively if you're not if you can get Taylor and Lauri to help with rim defense and cover the fact that Kyle doesn't really have rim defense. And maybe you can play 5 out, centerless basketball. And I'm guessing that's where we're going to start the season. That when Walker goes out, the first sub in gets us to a 5 out system 7-8 minutes into the first quarter. That's my guess. And maybe to open the year, Nurkic is not in the rotation. Nurkic has been either fairly or unfairly, because I actually wasn't there, so I don't know, characterized as being a little squirrely if he doesn't get his time. The other thing is, like, he's really good when he plays, particularly offensively. He is not a very good drop big defensively, but that's what he has to play. So he's not a great defensive big. But as a backup center, he's going to be better than most backup centers. And there are some pieces, you've got to have some pieces on the floor that give you an advantage and edge and give you a chance. And he will do that for us. So I actually think Nurkic will play. Again, I think we'll probably start the year, first training camp and through the early parts of the season and try, because our interest is playing Kyle, playing Taylor, playing Ace, playing Lauri, playing Walker, playing Cody. And the minute you're trying to play those 6 guys, along with Isaiah, Walter Clayton, Bryce Sensabaugh, and Keontae George, and I probably forgot somebody, that's 10 guys. And Nurkic becomes, so if you're going to play Nurkic, you're dropping one of those 10 guys from the rotation. And I don't think we want to do that. The problem on that is that I actually think from a viability standpoint, Nurkic is going to end up playing. I think we're just going to need him to play. And fans are going to go nuts every time. Every time Nurkic plays 15 minutes, someone's going to freak out. And it's like, okay, but we have to be viable. We're not going to win, but we got to be viable. And viable means everybody else can play a system and play together and play. And Nurkic will make things viable. That's my guess on that. Lauri wasn't great yesterday. 4 of 15 from the field, 0 of 5 from 3. I mean, it's certainly, I think he's wearing down a little bit. They got crushed by Germany by 30 last night. He's not playing with other great players. Teams are zeroing in on him. But like 11 points and 9 rebounds when you're the only guy in the roster is not super. They will play Serbia at 11:45 a.m. this morning. And that'll probably be it. And that'll be the end of the Finnish run. It would be quite an upset if Finland upset Serbia in the EuroBasket. It would be an all-time upset. So I would guess Lauri's run ends here tonight / tomorrow morning. That is Locked on Jazz today. We're going to try to get the interview series going next week. Appreciate it. And let you reach out to my guy, Timmy Lacombe, Ron Boone, Thurl Bailey, Craig Bolerjack. You probably want a little Lauren Green. Movie star Lauren Green. What? A tease of knowledge that's out there. I don't know if that's allowed to be mentioned, but it was. But supposedly I wasn't supposed to mention that somebody else was moving and leaving us and leaving me deserted and brokenhearted and melancholy, and I wasn't supposed to mention it, but I did. Have a great one. Talk to you guys later. This is Locked on Jazz. We now send you to the first ever national 24/7 NBA channel, Locked on NBA. Make sure you check out Locked on NBA on audio as well. It's there for you. And remember the NFL Ultimate pregame show coming your direction